Fallout shook E3 to its core, and this year it's back, and there's updates on Fallout DLC, Fallout VR that was announced last night, Fallout Shelter coming to PC. Bethesda Game Studios is always very busy, and it is my great honor to have with us game director and executive producer from BGS, Todd Howard. Todd, great to see you
again, man. How are things?
Things are great. I hope this is a yearly tradition to have you come by our couch.
We'll see. When I have stuff to talk about, I'll just come and sit here, and we'll just talk about anything. We could, yeah.
You never know. I mean, we didn't know you were going to pop up in the Xbox press conference there.
Yeah, you know.
There's Todd Howard. So let's talk a bit about that. You were in the video. Pete said, a couple weeks ago they came by, told you guys about Scorpio. You talked about, Fallout VR, working on this system. You were pretty impressed with what Xbox had to say?
Yeah, we've talked to them for a long time, and I'll admit, both Sony and Microsoft, to tell them we'd like to see new hardware more often. We're used to that. Yeah. In the PC realm, we make our games very extensible, and so I think it's good for the industry where there's new hardware that can do new things, but the games you played before aren't forgotten.
Yep.
Kind of always interested in that, where like you think about movies, you're able to continue to watch a movie, and we kind of entered this era where, am I leaving these games I love behind?
Yeah.
And obviously we love our own games, and we want to update them and support them on hardware that continues to come. So it's great.
Well, and speaking of upgrades, last night you guys mentioned a remastering, I guess is the correct term, of Skyrim, or?
Yeah, that's probably the correct term, yeah.
So you showed some incredible kind of side-by-side footage of what you guys are doing there. Obviously, the game was incredible on console, but also PC, the mod community, great content there. So I was curious about this. I mean, how much time is this taking at BGS to do this? I mean, are you working with partners? Are you guys doing this internally? What's the scale of this project?
It's all internal, but we do have a studio in Montreal, so we have been expanding.
Yeah.
And we had actually done a port of Skyrim to Xbox One. We first got the dev kits, just kind of learn it, but it was the same game. And then it was really over the last year, once we were playing that port we did, like, oh, this is still a ton of fun.
Yeah.
What can we do? And so, a number of our artists and programmers, they all got together and, have made it what we think is, it feels new again, which surprises me. Like even someone like myself who's obviously played it a lot, that, it gets its hooks in you. It really is kind of a timeless game.
And with all the mods and everything, there's so much content there that fans will be excited to play.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That looks great. I mean, you had so much stuff you were talking about last night, Fallout coming to VR, Shelter, you talked about the studio in Montreal. I think a lot of fans are kind of wondering, your team, what you guys are working on. And speaking of Elder Scrolls, I don't know what you can say, but are you guys going to do an Elder Scrolls 6?
I mean, that's kind of like the elephant in the room always when we talk about anything. And I think it's good to, in these moments, to tell our fans, yes, of course we are.
Okay.
It's something we love, but it is, I have to be careful what I say. It's a very long way off. I could sit here and explain the game to you, and you would say, that sounds like you don't even have the technology. How long is that going to take? And so it's something that is going to take a lot of time, what we have in mind for that game. And we actually have 2 other large projects we're also doing that are bigger than anything we've done. And people will probably hear about those even before Elder Scrolls 6. And that'll make sense many years from now.
Okay. So that's amazing. So you have a vision in your head of what you want Elder Scrolls 6 to be.
We think very long term. We're not a developer that's going to rush something like this out. Any of our games. So when you think about what is the future of that kind of game, we have a pretty good idea of what it would be, and it's just going to take technology and time that really we don't have necessarily right now.
Okay. But you said you have 2 other big projects. I know you guys, you did the mobile game. I think a lot of people are wondering, when is the next BGS game going to come out? Which is, I think people think of as at least a traditional, $60 box product you buy, and maybe you guys are changed that, the industry is changing. But when you think of those 2 other big projects, I mean, are you going to do a new IP? Are you going to go back to Fallout? Do you think about that?
I don't want to say yet, but I think people should know by now that the gap between hearing about it and it coming out, I like that to be really short.
Okay.
So they're all a ways off, and we'll talk about them when we talk about them.
But you guys are effectively right now at least parallel pathing 2 big things?
They kind of overlap, and we're expanding, but we've always kind of done that. If we sat here years ago and I said, hey, we're doing Fallout 4, we're also doing a mobile game, we're also starting this other thing, you'd be like, how are you doing all that? So it's actually not abnormal for us. It's just they overlap, and we try things, and then we like something, and then we move more of the team onto it. We say, okay, this is going to be our next release.
All right, so Elder Scrolls 6, 3 games away is what I'm taking away.
We'll see.
But you guys have obviously spent a lot of time in the Elder Scrolls world and the Fallout world. Do you think about, like, are there other worlds you want to play in? Or, I mean, I'm sure you're experimenting with ideas all the time.
Yes, I mean, I think that people shouldn't necessarily look at what we've done and say, we're just going to alternate a Fallout and an Elder Scrolls. There are obviously universes we love, but there are things that we want to try in gaming whilst they would still be very much a Bethesda Game Studios style game, or something that people would expect from us while being different. These are like I'm having a hard time answering this. Like, how do I answer it while being not too cryptic? But you know,
and you love the element of surprise, right? I think last year E3 was a big moment for Fallout, and
yeah, it's another thing. People would probably want the answer now.
Yeah.
But it would be spoiling it. Like when we announce whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that moment I've always said is really important. You know, I think it's part of
Yeah.
gaming and being excited about something and getting your hands on it.
No,
So,
when we worked releasing Skyrim, I mean, that was a huge moment for the fans, and what you did last year with Fallout was great. And what I'm taking away from this is there's a lot of excitement I sense from you about, multiple things going on at BGS, and for many years it was sort of like one game every 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
Yeah.
That since we've expanded, there's just a lot we want to do, so we feel we should go for it, as opposed to, well, we'll only have one thing. People are going to see more things from us. Like updating Fallout is part of that.
Yep.
So having an opportunity to do that in VR, something we kind of messed with, and then once you try it, you're like, what if we did the whole game?
Yeah.
And then everyone goes, oh my, yes, okay, let's go for that. And we'll make our mistakes. Not everything will be a huge success, but we want to try things, and we're in that space where we feel like we have the audience, we have the time that we can do these things.
Well, and you have the inclination. It's great to hear that no Todd Howard retirement anytime soon.
No, not at all.
Awesome.
I think there's so much great stuff coming up that we just can't. Wish we could put it all out there now.
I know. Well, you're one of our industry's greatest creators, you and your team.
Thank you.
So
Thank
we
you.
can't
Really,
wait
the whole
to
team.
see what is next from BGS, and hopefully next year at E3 maybe, but we'll keep us waiting. Todd, thank you
man,
so
it's
much
great
as
seeing you.
always. Really great
Yeah.
seeing you. All right. Well, earlier Crow Team.